Introduction. The temporal hijacking. You wake up. The alarm sounds. Before your feet even touch the cold floor of your room, you are already gone. Physically, your body is emerging from the sheets, but you are no longer there. Your mind has traveled to the future, to the 9 o'clock meeting, to the traffic that awaits you, to the bills due on Friday. Or perhaps it has traveled to the past, to last night's argument, to the mistake you made 3 years ago, to the nostalgia of a time when you were happier. You look at the clock. You feel that familiar pressure in your chest, that background rush, that feeling that you are missing something, that you are late for your own life. Welcome to the temporal hijacking. The vast majority of modern human beings do not live in reality. They live in a complex mental simulation projected by their frontal lobes. We spend 90% of our waking hours in a place that does not exist, ruminating on what has already died, the past, or agonizing over what is not yet born. We have turned the present moment, the only place where life, love, action, and breathing occur, into a mere obstacle. We treat the now as a dirty and uncomfortable waiting room that we must pass through as quickly as possible to reach that magical moment in the future where we will finally be happy. We tell ourselves, I will be happy when I get the promotion. I will be at peace when I pay off the mortgage. I will feel complete when I find a partner. But it is a trap. It is the carrot tied to the stick. Because when you reach that future, it instantly transforms into the present, and your mind projects a new carrot further ahead. We live in a dictatorship. The dictator is psychological time. It is vital that we make a surgical distinction from the very first page. I am not talking about clock time. Clock time is a useful and necessary tool. It serves to avoid missing the train, to attend a medical appointment, or to cook a soft-boiled egg. The problem is psychological time, the accumulation of the past as guilt and resentment, and the projection of the future as fear and anxiety. Psychological time is not a tool, it is a disease. It is the root cause of almost all unnecessary human suffering. Anxiety is an excess of future. Depression is an excess of past. Stress is the rejection of the present. This book is not a time management manual. I'm not going to teach you how to be more productive, how to use a better planner, or how to squeeze more tasks into your day. On the contrary, productivity books assume you lack time. I tell you that you have too much mind. This book is a manual of temporal annihilation. We are going to dismantle the illusion that your life is a straight line. We are going to learn to kill the mental parasite that robs you of vital energy by simulating problems that do not exist. We are going to leave the waiting room. Your life does not start on Friday afternoon. Your life does not start when you retire. Your life does not start when you lose 10 kilos. Your life is happening right now as you read these words. And if you are not able to inhabit this instant, it does not matter how long you live. You will die without ever having lived. Get ready, we are going to break the clock. Chapter 1. The Ghost in the Machine. The Autopsy of the Past. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Søren Kierkegaard. The past is a foreign country. They do things differently there. L.P. Hartley. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. You open your eyes. Sunlight streams through the window. You feel the warmth of the sheets, the weight of your body, the rhythm of your breath. In that first microsecond of consciousness, before your brain fully kicks into gear, you are free. You are pure existence. You are a blank canvas. But then, in a matter of milliseconds, the machine turns on. Your temporal lobe retrieves the I file, and suddenly you remember. You remember that your name is Juan or Maria. You remember that you have a bank debt. You remember that you got divorced 3 years ago and it still hurts. You remember that your boss gave you a dirty look yesterday. You remember that as a child, you were shy and never good at math. You remember all the injustices, all the victories, all the scars. You put on your past as if it were a backpack full of stones. You get out of bed. You are no longer free. You are no longer in the now. You are dragging a corpse. You walk to the bathroom, look in the mirror, and you don't see the face you have today. You see the accumulation of 10,000 previous days. You don't see your eyes, you see your story. Welcome to the first great lie of the human mind. The belief that you are your past. We live under the dictatorship of memory. We believe we are the sum of our memories. We define ourselves by what was done to us, by what we achieved, or by what we lost. I am a sad person because my mother abandoned me. I am a failure because my business went bankrupt in 2015. This linear narrative gives us a sense of continuity. It tells us who we are. But it has a terrible price. It prevents us from being alive. A human being who defines themselves by their past is a zombie. They are reacting to the present with obsolete instructions. They are a computer trying to run a next-generation video game with the Windows 95 operating system. In this chapter, we are going to perform a forensic autopsy on that corpse. We will dissect human memory with the scalpel of neuroscience to prove to you that what you call my past is not a reliable historical record. It is a fiction. It is a novel you rewrite every day without realizing it. And it is time to close the book. By the neurological lie, the myth of the video library. Most people believe that memory works like a video library. You believe your brain records the events of your life on a biological hard drive. You believe that when you remember your first kiss or that terrible argument, you are going to the shelf, pulling out the videotape and playing it back exactly as it happened. If you believe this, you are wrong. Modern neuroscience has shown that memory is not reproductive, it is reconstructive. Every time you remember something, you are not playing back the original file. You are recreating it from scratch. Your brain takes scattered fragments of sensory information, a smell, a blurry image, an emotion, and sews them together instantly to manufacture a coherent story. In that reconstruction process, your brain adds new information that wasn't there. It adds your current mood, your present beliefs, and things someone told you later. This is what scientists call memory reconsolidation. When you bring a memory into consciousness, it becomes unstable like an open Word document. You can edit it. You can change the color of your ex's shirt. You can exaggerate what you said. You can demonize your father's gaze. When you stop thinking about it and save the memory again, you don't save the original version. You save the edited version. If you remember a traumatic event from 10 years ago, and you have remembered it 1,000 times since, what you have is a photocopy of a photocopy. It is a distortion. It is an urban legend of your own life. Dr. Elizabeth Loftus, a world expert on false memories, has shown in trials and laboratories that it is terrifyingly easy to implant false memories in people. She has managed to convince healthy people that they got lost in a mall as children, an event that never happened, just through suggestion. If a scientist can hack your past in an afternoon, imagine what your own ego has done with your story over the years. Your past, as you remember it, is a lie. It is not a historical fact. It is an artistic interpretation painted by your ego to justify how you feel today. If today you feel like a victim, your brain will edit your past to highlight the bad times. If today you feel like a hero, your brain will edit the past so it looks like an epic of self-improvement. Understanding this is terrifying, but it is also the key to freedom. If your past is a fiction, it means you are not chained to it. The story you tell yourself about why you are this way is just that, a story, and stories can be changed. There's identity as a refuge, the fear of being nobody. If the past is so painful and so false, why do we cling to it with such desperation? Why do we keep scratching the scab? Why do we return again and again to relive the divorce, the firing, the betrayal? Because the past gives us something that human beings value more than happiness: identity. The ego, that part of your mind that says I, is terrified of the void. The ego needs definitions. It needs edges. It needs to know where it ends and where the world begins. And the easiest way to define oneself is through history. Hello, I'm Anna. I'm the woman who was cheated on by her husband. That sentence hurts, yes. But it also defines, it gives Anna a role in the play, it gives her a script. It tells her how to behave with distrust, what to feel, bitterness, and what to expect, betrayal. Suffering, however terrible it may be, is familiar. It is a smelly old coat, but it is warm. If Anna let go of her past today, who would she be? She would be a void. She would be a blank space. She would have no script. She would have to face the abyss of absolute freedom. She would have to define who she is in this precise moment without using any previous reference, and that is deathly frightening. We prefer to be unhappy with a clear identity than to be happy being nobody. We prefer to carry the corpse of our past because it gives us weight, it gives us gravity. We feel that if we let go of the story, we will fly away and disappear. This is what we call trauma attachment. We don't attach to pain because we like to suffer. We are not masochists. We attach to pain because it gives us existence. I suffer, therefore I exist. I have problems, therefore I am important. I have a tragic story, therefore I am special. The ghost in the machine is this narrative ego that refuses to die. It feeds on your attention. Every time you remember the past and get emotional about it, you are feeding the ghost. You are giving it your blood, your present vital energy, so it can keep haunting the hallways of your mind. Third, the sunk cost fallacy, emotional investment. In economics, there is a cognitive bias called the sunk cost fallacy. Imagine you buy a movie ticket for $20. You enter the theater and 10 minutes later, you realize the movie is horrible. It's boring, offensive, and stupid. What do? The rational decision would be to leave. The money is already lost. Why lose your time as well? But most people stay. They think, I already paid $20, I have to get my money's worth. Result, you lose the money and you lose 2 hours of your life suffering. We do exactly the same with our emotional past. You have invested years in a toxic relationship. You have invested thousands of hours in being angry with your parents. You have invested a lot of energy in building your identity as an ununderstood victim. Your brain tells you, you can't let go of that resentment now. You have suffered too much for it. If you let go and forgive, all that suffering will have been in vain. We want our pain to serve for something. We want it to have meaning. We cling to the past hoping that if we review it enough times, the ending will change, or that someone will come to apologize and give us back the investment. But the market of life doesn't work that way. The past is a cancelled check. It has no funds. It doesn't matter how much you cry, scream, or analyze what happened in 1998 or in 2023. You are not going to recover a single second of that time. The investment is lost. The cost is sunk. The only intelligent decision is to get up from the theater seat, leave the dark room of your memory, and step into the sunlight of the present. For the body keeps the score, the biological ghost. Until now we have talked about the mind. But the ghost is more dangerous because it has possessed the machine, your body. Trauma and memory do not only live in the brain, they live in the nervous system. As Pavlov's famous study showed, organisms learn by association. If every time a bell rang, Pavlov gave food to the dogs started to salivate just at the bell. You are the Pavlovian dog of your own past. Perhaps you had a critical father who shouted at you when you made a mistake. Your body learned to associate making a mistake with danger, fear. Today you are 40 years old. Your father may already be dead. You are safe. But you make a small mistake at work and boom, your stomach tightens, your hands sweat, your heart races. You are not reacting to the present, a correctable error. You are reacting to the past. Your body is reliving a chemical memory. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, in his masterpiece The Body Keeps the Score, explains that trauma reconfigures biology. The past remains embedded in your tense shoulders, in your shallow breathing, in your clenched jaw. We wear the past like an invisible armor. This armor protected us then, but now it suffocates us. It prevents us from connecting with people, from relaxing, from feeling pleasure. The ghost in the machine is that nervous system that keeps fighting wars that ended decades ago. You live in a house at peace, but your body acts as if you were in a trench. And as long as your body believes it is in danger, your mind can never be in the now. The Autopsy, dissecting a memory. We are going to do a live dissection exercise. I want you to think of a memory that hurts you, something that makes you feel shame, anger, or sadness. Bring it to your mind now. Look at it well. There you are. There is the other person. There is the setting. Feel the emotion that arises. Now apply the scalpel of the truth of the now. Where is that event? Look around you. Look at the room where you are reading this. Do you see the person who offended you? No. Physically, the event does not exist. It is a ghost. Who is feeling this? You are feeling the emotion now. But the cause of the emotion is not now. You are generating a real physiological response to an imaginary stimulus. It is like being afraid of a horror movie. The monster cannot come out of the screen. When you subject the memory to this interrogation, it begins to lose consistency. It begins to become translucent. You realize that you are not fighting a dragon. You are fighting the smoke of a fire that went out a long time ago. Only the smoke is suffocating you. The fire no longer burns. Feel the practice how to bury the corpse. Knowing this intellectually is not enough. You have to do the dirty work. You have to bury the corpse to stop smelling its rot. Here are 3 protocols to kill past psychological time. Protocol 1. The morning reset, tabula rasa. Most people, upon waking, load the previous operating system. Tomorrow, do something different. When you open your eyes, stay still for 30 seconds. Do not remember who you are. Do not remember what you have to do. Feel only the sensation of I exist, without a name, without a story. Visualize that you have just been born in this adult body, but without its emotional baggage. Tell yourself, today I have no past. Today my life begins. If a memory of a problem comes to you, do not treat it as old. Treat it as a new data point of the present. At this moment, the bank account marks X. Protocol 2, selfish forgiveness. Forget about religious morality. Forgive because you are selfish and want to be free. Resentment is a steel cable that ties you to the person who hurt you. As long as you hate them, you remain connected to them. You keep dragging them with you everywhere. Do you want your enemy to live for free in your head? Forgiveness is the act of cutting the cable. It is saying, I don't forgive you because you deserve it. I forgive you because I deserve to stop thinking about you. Visualize the cable. Visualize giant scissors. Cut. And watch the ghost float away until it disappears. You stay here, light, alone. Protocol 3. The burning of files. Write your story. Write on a piece of paper all the events you used to define and victimize yourself. I was fired. My father didn't love me. I failed in love. Pour all the black ink onto the paper. Get it out of your system. Then, go to a safe place and burn the paper. Watch how the fire consumes the words. Watch how the paper turns into ash and smoke. It is a psycho-magical act, but it tells your primitive brain something important. This is over. The matter has been transformed. The energy has been released. Do not keep the ashes. Flush them down the toilet. It is symbolic but brutally effective. Chapter 2. The Anxiety Factory, the future as simulation, and the hallucination of what if. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Seneca, Letters from a Stoic. Worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do but never gets you anywhere. Erma Bombeck. You are sitting on the sofa at home. It is Tuesday night. The temperature is pleasant. You have food in the fridge. There are no predators in the room. Your vital signs are stable. Physically, you are in the safest place in human history. However, inside your skull, World War III is being waged. Your heart beats a little faster than normal. You have a knot in your stomach. Your jaw is tense. Your mind is projecting, on a high-resolution IMAX screen, a detailed horror movie about a meeting you will have on Thursday, or about an uncomfortable conversation with your partner that might happen this weekend. Your body reacts as if you were being chased by a pack of wolves. It releases cortisol. It shuts down your digestive system. It tenses your muscles for flight. But there are no wolves. There are only thoughts. Welcome to the Anxiety Factory. Anxiety is not a mysterious disease that attacks you from the outside. It is a native function of your brain hardware that has become stuck on the on button. It is the result of having the most advanced supercomputer in the universe, the human frontal lobe, and using it exclusively to film disaster movies that will never premiere. In this chapter, we are going to dismantle the illusion of the future. We will understand why your brain is addicted to predicting misfortunes, why worrying makes you feel falsely responsible, and how to turn off the simulator to return to the only coordinate where life is possible, the now. The evolutionary error, from the savannah to the spreadsheet. To understand why you suffer anxiety about the future, you have to forgive your brain. It is not broken. It is outdated. Your brain did not evolve for you to be happy, nor to be present, nor to write poetry. It evolved with a single, brutal purpose: to keep you alive long enough to reproduce. 100,000 years ago in the African savannah, the future was a very short and very dangerous concept. The future was the next 5 minutes. If you heard a rustle in the grass, your brain, amygdala, had to assume the worst. It's a lion. If you assumed it was a lion and ran and it turned out to be just the wind, the cost was low. But if you assumed it was the wind and it turned out to be a lion, the cost was infinite, death. Therefore, we are descendants of the paranoiacs. We are the grandchildren of the hominids who always imagined the worst-case scenario. Anxiety was our competitive advantage. The problem is that we have transferred that survival software, designed for immediate mortal physical threats, to a modern environment of symbolic, social, and deferred threats. Today, the lion is an email from your boss with the subject line, "We need to talk." Your primitive brain does not distinguish between the lion and the email. To your nervous system, the email is a death threat, social death, loss of resources. So it triggers the same fight or flight response. But here is the trap. You can throw a spear at the lion or climb a tree. Physical action resolves the stress. You cannot throw a spear at the email, usually. You have to wait until Thursday for the meeting. And in that waiting, in that psychological time between the stimulus and the resolution, your brain gets trapped in a loop of infinite simulation, ruminating, anticipating, suffering. You have turned a survival tool into a torture chamber. To the simulation machine, the frontal lobe. What differentiates us from other animals is our prefrontal cortex. This structure gives us a divine superpower, the ability to time travel. We can simulate futures that do not exist. We can imagine hypothetical scenarios, what if, and feel the emotional consequences before they even occur. This is great for designing bridges or planning harvests. It is disastrous for mental health. The brain is a machine of prediction, predictive processing. It hates uncertainty. Uncertainty is biologically expensive. When the brain does not know what is going to happen, it fills in the gaps. Because it has a negativity bias, Chapter 12, it fills those gaps with monsters. The hallucination of what if. The basic mechanism of the anxiety factory is the question, what if? What if I get fired? What if I have a serious illness? What if I make a fool of myself? Your brain launches the simulation. You visualize the firing. You visualize the poverty. You visualize the shame. And here the crime occurs. Your body does not know it is a simulation. The same brain areas that activate when you feel real pain activate when you anticipate pain. If you spend 3 days worried about a breakup, you have lived the breakup 1,000 times. You have suffered the grief 1,000 times. And if in the end they don't break up with you, you have suffered 1,000 times for nothing. It is an absurdity of vital energy waste. Mark Twain summed it up with crushing lucidity. I have had a lot of trouble in my life, most of which never happened. 3. Possibility versus probability, the mathematical illiteracy of fear. Anxiety feeds on a basic logical confusion, confusing the possible with the probable. Is it possible that a piano will fall on your head when you step out into the street? Yes, the laws of physics allow it. Is it probable? Statistics say it is almost zero. Therefore, you do not live in fear of pianos. But when it comes to emotional or social issues, we lose our mathematical capacity. Is it possible that your partner is cheating on you right now? Yes. Is it probable, based on your history, trust, and real data? Probably not. But anxiety grabs onto the 0.01% possibility and inflates it until it occupies 100% of your screen. The anxiety factory tells you, if it can happen, it will happen. The antidote is not positive thinking, everything will be fine. The antidote is probabilistic thinking. You have to become a risk actuary of your own life. When your brain throws a horror movie at you, ask it, what is the actual probability? Most of the time, the answer is less than 5%. Would you ruin your present for an event that has a 95% chance of not existing? That is not precaution. It is poor resource management. The great lie, worrying is being responsible. This is the favorite defense of the anxious ego. We believe that if we stop worrying, we are irresponsible. If I don't worry about money, I'll go broke. If I don't worry about my children, something will happen to them. We have the magical superstition that worry is a kind of shield. We believe that by suffering in advance, we are paying a fee to the universe so that the misfortune does not occur, or that if it does occur, it will hurt us less because we saw it coming. This is false. Worrying is not planning. I need you to engrave this distinction in your cerebral cortex with fire. Planning, action in the now. It is looking at the future, identifying a risk and taking a physical measure in the present to mitigate it. Example, it might rain tomorrow. I'm going to put the umbrella in my backpack now. End of process. Worrying, rumination in psychological time. It is looking at the future, identifying a risk and going around in circles without being able to do anything about it at this instant. Example, it might rain tomorrow. I hate the rain. My shoes will get wet. What if I catch a cold? The process never ends. Planning releases energy. You close the cycle. Worrying consumes energy. The cycle stays open. If you can do something now with your hands to solve the future problem, do it. That is taking care of it. If you cannot do anything now, then thinking about it is not responsibility. It is painful mental masturbation. First, the biological cost, the fatigue of always alert. Living in the future has a devastating physical price. The state of constant alert, sympathetic nervous system arousal, floods your body with cortisol. Cortisol is useful in short doses. It wakes you up in the morning. But in chronic doses, it is a slow poison. It kills neurons in the hippocampus, memory. It accumulates visceral fat in the abdomen. It depresses the immune system. It reduces neuroplasticity. But the worst part is what it does to your decision-making. There is a concept called cognitive bandwidth. You have a limited amount of attention and processing per day. If you spend 60% of your bandwidth simulating catastrophic futures, you only have 40% left to deal with the present. You become clumsy, you forget your keys, you snap at your partner. Ironically, the anxiety to avoid a future disaster is what causes the present disaster. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Farsi shutdown protocols. How to stop the simulation. You cannot stop thinking through brute force. If you try not to think about a pink elephant, you will think about it. To kill future psychological time, you need cognitive hacking techniques. Here are 3 emergency protocols. Protocol 1. The binary action algorithm. When a worry assaults you, subject it to this summary judgment. Do not negotiate with the mental terrorist. Question: do I have any control over this at this precise instant? If the answer is yes, act immediately. If the answer is no, recognize it as noise. Apply radical surrender. Tell yourself, since I can't do anything now, I forbid myself from thinking about it until I can. Use the mantra, we will cross that bridge when we get to the river. Protocol 2. Premeditatio malorum, the Stoic vaccine. Sometimes fear persists because it is vague. The monster in the dark is scarier than the monster under the light. The Stoics used negative visualization not to suffer, but to lose fear. Instead of running from the thought, go toward it. Okay, imagine I get fired. What happens next? I run out of salary. And then? I'd have to cut expenses. Would I starve? No. I have family. I have skills. By taking the horror movie to its end, you realize a liberating truth. You would survive. By facing the worst case, you take away its teeth. Protocol 3. Sensory anchoring, the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. Anxiety lives in time. Senses live in the now. You cannot smell the future. When you feel the tachycardia of anxiety, look at 5 things, touch 4 things, listen to 3 sounds, smell 2 things, taste 1 thing. This forces your brain to divert energy from the default mode network, the one that simulates the future, toward the task-positive network, sensory processing. It cuts the cable of the simulation. It brings you suddenly into the room. And in the room, generally, everything is fine. Chapter 3. The Pain Gap. Here versus there, the civil war inside your head. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Buddhist proverb and basic principle of acceptance and commitment therapy. When you argue with reality, you lose, but only 100% of the time. Byron Katie. You are stuck in a traffic jam. It is Monday morning. You are late. The car in front isn't moving. The traffic light is red and seems to mock you. Observe your body. Your hands grip the steering wheel until your knuckles turn white. Your jaw is locked. Your breathing is short. In your mind, a voice screams, "This shouldn't be happening. It should be moving. Damn it, I'm going to be late." Let's analyze the situation with forensic coldness. Physical fact, you are sitting in a car stopped. Mental fact, you are furious, stressed, and suffering. Why are you suffering? It's not because of the traffic. Traffic is just metal and asphalt. Traffic has no intention of hurting you. You suffer because you have opened a gap. Physically, you are here, in the traffic jam. Mentally, you are demanding to be there, in the office, arriving on time. The distance between your here, reality, and your there, desire, fantasy, is the pain gap. The more you resist being here, the wider the gap becomes. The wider the gap, the more tension accumulates in the elastic band of your psyche. And that tension is what we call suffering. Most humans live their entire lives stretched in this torture. They are never where they are. They are always leaning forward, trying to reach the next moment, the next place, the next achievement. They treat the present moment as a system error that must be corrected. This moment is bad. The next one will be good. In this chapter, we are going to expose the madness of this attitude. We are going to see why wanting to be somewhere else is the perfect recipe for chronic unhappiness, and why the only way to heal the wound is not to get there, because there does not exist, but to collapse the resistance and land violently in the here. The geography of unhappiness. To understand the gap, we have to look at the map of your mind. Your ego divides the universe into two territories. Territory A, here. It is the place where you are right now. According to your ego, this place is insufficient, boring, painful, or incomplete. Here I am single. Here I am poor. Here I am fat. Verdict: unacceptable. Must flee. Territory B, there. It is the imaginary place where everything is solved. There I have a partner. There I am rich. There I am thin. There I have arrived on time. Verdict: salvation, happiness, peace. Life then becomes a frantic race to leave A and get to B. The problem is that B is a mirage. It is an optical carrot. When you finally manage to lose weight, you arrive at B, your ego immediately relabels that new state as Territory A, insufficient, and projects a new Territory B further away. You never get there, because there is by definition the place where you are not. It is a cognitive pyramid scheme. You spend your life paying installments of present suffering in exchange for a future happiness that is never delivered. The pain gap is the empty space between where you are and where your mind says you should be. In that empty space is where anxiety, frustration, and anger live. They are the tyranny of should. The brick with which we build the gap is a single word, small and poisonous. Should. My partner should be more tidy. Reality: they are messy. It shouldn't rain today. Reality: it is raining. I should be further along in my career at my age. Reality: you are where you are. Every time you use should, you are committing an act of madness. You are arguing with physics, with history, and with the universe. If it is raining, it must rain. Why? Because atmospheric conditions, pressure, temperature, humidity, have made it inevitable for water to fall. Saying, "it shouldn't rain," is believing your opinion is more important than the laws of thermodynamics. It is delusional arrogance. When you say, "he shouldn't have spoken to me like that," you are fighting a historical fact. He already spoke to you like that. It already happened. The universe has already manifested that reality. Your should creates useless friction. It doesn't change the past, the weather, or your partner. All it does is tear you apart. The gap opens when you compare reality, what is, with expectation, what should be. And reality always wins. Reality is undefeated. You break your teeth against the wall of what is, screaming that it shouldn't be. Third, the mathematics of suffering. There is a famous equation in mindfulness and cognitive therapy circles that explains this with mathematical precision. Suffering or pain is resistance. Let's analyze it. Pain. It is the inevitable physical or emotional fact. Toothache, loss of money, breakup. Pain is data. It is information from the nervous system. Resistance. It is your mental and emotional reaction of rejection toward the pain. It is the I don't want this, why me, make it stop now. It is the muscle tension and the negative thought loop. If you have a level 5 pain and your resistance is 0, total acceptance, your suffering is 5. It hurts, but it doesn't distress you. If you have a level 5 pain and your resistance is 10, total struggle, panic, denial, your suffering skyrockets to 50. The pain gap is that resistance. It is the titanic effort you make to push reality away from you. It is exhausting. Maintaining the gap open consumes more energy than the problem itself. Think about it. What hurts you about traffic isn't sitting down, you are sitting comfortably. What hurts you is the mental resistance to sitting down. If you radically accepted, I am here, I'm going to be late, it's a fact, I can't teleport, the suffering would vanish instantly. The consequence would remain, but the distress would disappear. Fear the waiting room, living in parentheses. Due to this obsession with getting there, we turn the present into a waiting room. Look at how you live. You are in the supermarket line. You are waiting. Your life is on pause. You are irritated because the cashier is slow. You are thinking, when I get out of here, I will get on with my life. You are at work. You are waiting for 18 cow. Your life is on pause. You are single. You are waiting to find a partner. Your life is on pause. You treat the present moment as a minor obstacle, a nuisance, a bureaucratic procedure that must be stamped quickly to get to the good stuff, but the good stuff never arrives. Because you have trained yourself neurologically to wait. You have trained yourself to live in parentheses. If you live 80 years and spend 70 waiting for things to happen, the weekend, vacation, retirement, you have thrown your life away. The pain gap is the place where you live while you wait. It is a grey, tasteless limbo. The pragmatic mystic understands that there is no waiting. The supermarket line is your life at that moment. The traffic jam is your life at that moment. Washing the dishes is your life at that moment. There is nothing more important than what you are doing now, because it is the only thing you are doing. The mirage of the horizon. Imagine you are walking toward the horizon. You see it there, a clear line where the sky touches the earth. You walk 10 kilometers. Have you arrived? No. The horizon has moved 10 kilometers further. The horizon is an optical property, not a physical place. The better future, territory B, is a cognitive property, not a temporal moment. The human mind, driven by dopamine, is designed to chase the horizon. It is designed for chronic dissatisfaction. If they give you $1 million today, you will be happy for 2 weeks. Hedonic adaptation. Then you will open a new gap. Now I need 10 million, or I'm afraid of losing it. The gap reinvents itself. That is why seeking peace by fixing your external circumstances is useless. You can change partners, jobs, cities, and bodies. If you don't close the internal gap, you will take your dissatisfaction with you. Wherever you go, there you are. The problem is not the place. The problem is your inability to be in the place. The solution. Radical acceptance, closing the gap. If resistance creates suffering, the only cure is surrender. But be careful with words. I am not talking about passive surrender, resignation, or weakness. I am talking about radical acceptance. Radical acceptance does not mean you like the situation. It means you recognize the facts. It means you stop arguing with reality. Resistance. I can't believe I lost my job. It's unfair. This shouldn't be happening to me. Open gap, maximum pain, paralysis. Radical acceptance. I have lost my job. My account is at 0. These are the facts. I am here. Now, what do I do? Closed gap, clean pain, action. When you radically accept here, energy is released. Paradoxically, you can only change reality when you first accept it fully. If you deny you are fat, you won't diet. If you deny you are in debt, you won't save. You have to say, yes, this is what there is. I am in territory A, and I am fine here because it is real. The moment you accept the present, the tension vanishes. You enter a state of strange peace. It's not a peace where everything is wonderful. It's a peace of there is no conflict between me and the universe. You are aligned with what happens. You are invincible because nothing that occurs can contradict you, since you have already said yes to what occurs. Stoicism, the practice, how to weld the gap. Knowing this is easy. Living it when the world crumbles is the art. Here are 3 welding tools to close the pain gap in real time. Tool 1, the total yes mantra, amor fati. Nietzsche spoke of amor fati, to love fate, not just to endure it, but to love it. When something bad happens, your instinct will be to say no. Hack that instinct. Tell yourself mentally, yes, I want this, I choose this. I know it sounds crazy. Why would you choose to lose your keys? Because it has already happened. By saying, I choose it, you align your will with reality. You become an accomplice of fate instead of its victim. You go straight to the solution. Tool 2, the AND technique. When your mind projects the idealized territory B and makes you feel bad for being in territory A, use reductive logic. Your mind says, if I don't get that promotion, I'll be a failure. You respond, and I'll feel bad. And I'll have less money. And keep asking and until you reach the bottom. You will discover that the bottom is usually, and I will keep breathing. I will stay alive. I will still be me. The gap closes because you realize territory A is not lethal. It is just a circumstance. Tool 3, anchoring to the body, getting out of the mind. The gap is purely mental. The body is never in the gap. The body is always here. Your body doesn't know what tomorrow is. Your body only feels pressure, temperature, and pain, pleasure now. When you feel the anguish of wanting to be elsewhere, stop. Take a deep breath and feel the air entering your nose, cold sensation. Feel the weight of your feet on the floor, gravity. Feel the clothes on your skin, texture. By returning to raw sensations, you leave the narrative of what's missing and enter the reality of what is. And what is generally is bearable. Reality is much kinder than the story you tell yourself about it. In reality, you are sitting in a chair. In your mind, you are in hell. Get up from the mental chair. Sit in the real chair. Chapter 4. Addicted to later. The dopamine trap and the lie of future happiness. Man is an animal that wants things. But man does not want the things he has. He wants the things he does not have. And the moment he gets them, he stops wanting them. Daniel Z. Lieberman, The Molecule of More. Hope is the worst of all evils, for it prolongs the torment of man. Friedrich Nietzsche. Remember that Amazon package you ordered last week? You saw the product on the screen. You felt an electric spark in your chest. This is it. This is what I need to be more productive, look better, be happier. You clicked buy. The spark increased. You waited 2 days. Each time you thought about the package, you felt a slight excitement. The later glowed with promise. Finally, the courier rang the doorbell. You opened the box eagerly, tearing the cardboard. You took out the object. You looked at it. You held it. And 5 minutes later, nothing. The object was there, on your table. But the magic had evaporated. Suddenly, it was just one more thing. And your mind, treacherous and hungry, was already thinking about the next purchase. What happened here? Why is desire so intense and possession so tasteless? Welcome to the dopamine trap. Welcome to the chemical machinery that keeps you chained to the later. We live under the false belief that we seek happiness. It is not true. Biologically, you are not designed to be happy. You are designed to search. Evolution does not reward the animal that sits under a tree to enjoy the sunset. That animal starves. Evolution rewards the animal that always wants more. More food, more territory, more mates. Your brain has a reward system that scams you. It promises that the next moment will be the definitive one. It promises that when you achieve the goal, you will feel complete. But it is a biochemical lie. The system is designed to turn off at the exact moment you achieve the goal, forcing you to search for a new one. You are a junkie of the future. Let's learn to detox. The great misunderstanding, pleasure versus desire. Popular culture calls dopamine the pleasure molecule. This is scientifically incorrect, and this error is the cause of much of your suffering. In neuroscience labs, it has been discovered that dopamine has nothing to do with enjoyment, liking. It has everything to do with desire, wanting. These are different brain circuits. Desire circuit, dopamine, activates when you anticipate a reward. It gives you energy, focus, and motivation to pursue something. It looks toward the future. It is the molecule of there and then. Enjoyment circuit, opioids, endorphins, serotonin, oxytocin, activates when you consume the reward. It gives you satisfaction. The problem is that dopamine is much stronger, louder, and more addictive than the here and now molecules. Dopamine is what makes you drive 100 miles to see a girl. Endorphins are what make you feel good when you hug her. But here is the design's cruelty. Dopamine is inhibited when enjoyment is activated. You cannot want something and enjoy it at the same time with the same intensity. To enjoy what you have, present, you have to stop wanting what you do not have, future. But your dopaminergic brain hates the present. For dopamine, the present is boring because it is already achieved. It only gets excited by the new. That is why millionaires keep working 14 hours a day, even if they don't need money. They don't seek money. They seek the dopamine hit of the next victory. That is why the Casanova gets bored of his conquest as soon as she falls in love with him. The hunt is over. Dopamine plunges. We live chasing a chemical horizon that recedes. The reward prediction error, the infinite carrot. How does the brain keep you running on the hamster wheel? Through a mechanism called reward prediction error. Imagine you go to a coffee machine. You put in a coin and coffee comes out. Your brain registers action, chow, result, fine. 0 extra dopamine. It's routine. But one day you put in a coin and 2 coffees come out. Or an unexpected gourmet coffee comes out. Boom, massive dopamine firing. Your brain says, attention, something better than expected. We have to learn this, we have to repeat it. Dopamine does not respond to the reward itself, but to the surprise of the reward. Once you get used to something, it becomes the baseline. There is no longer a prediction error, no surprise. Dopamine dries up, and your brain, addicted to the rush, starts scanning the horizon for a new novelty. This is called hedonic adaptation. It is the reason why nothing is enough forever. It is why living happily ever after is biologically impossible if you depend on dopamine. The brain normalizes the extraordinary in record time to force you to seek the next thing. It is an evolutionary pyramid scheme. Throughout the society of the infinite scroll, if this was already a problem in the Stone Age, in the digital age it is a catastrophe. Silicon Valley knows it. The engineers of Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram are not programmers. They are dopamine dealers. They have designed their algorithms based on the principles of the Skinner box, behavioral psychology. B.F. Skinner discovered that if you give a pigeon food every time it pecks a button, fixed reward. The pigeon pecks only when hungry. But if you give food sometimes yes and sometimes no, variable reward, the pigeon goes crazy. It pecks the button compulsively until it dies of exhaustion. Uncertainty triggers dopamine. Your phone is a Skinner box. When you slide your finger down to update Instagram, the pull to refresh gesture, it is a slot machine lever. You don't know what will come out. A like? A bombshell news? A funny meme? Nothing? That variable reward keeps your dopamine circuit burning bright red. You are trapped in a seeking loop that never reaches finding. You spend hours scrolling, looking for something to satisfy you. But you never find it because the algorithm is designed to give you only small doses of promise, never the final dose of satisfaction. You become a ghost in the machine. Your body is on the sofa here, but your mind is in cyberspace there, chasing the next micro-hit of novelty. This destroys your ability to be in the now. It destroys your ability to concentrate, and it leaves you with a feeling of deep, anxious emptiness. Face serotonin and oxytocin, the enemies of later. If dopamine is the accelerator, we need to find the brake. We need to activate the here and now molecules. Serotonin, the molecule of satiety, calm, and perceived status. When serotonin is high, you feel enough. You don't need to prove or hunt anything. You are fine where you are. Oxytocin, the molecule of connection and trust. Released with eye contact, touch, shared laughter. It anchors you to the present through relationship with another living being. Endorphins, natural painkillers. Released with exercise, moderate pain, spicy, cold water, and deep laughter. They bring you into the body. The problem is that our modern society is hyperdopaminergic and hyposerotoninergic. We stimulate desire 24 hours a day, advertising, social media, sugar, but we rarely cultivate satisfaction. We have forgotten how to be. We only know how to go toward. The pragmatic metaphysician knows happiness is wanting what you have, and for that, a conscious effort of chemical breaking must be made. Dopamine fasting, myth and reality. Dopamine fasting has become fashionable. The idea is to spend 24 hours without screens, music, tasty food, sex, or talking. Total boredom. Scientists criticize the name. You cannot empty dopamine, you would die. But they validate the mechanism, receptor resensitization. When you bombard your brain with high-intensity stimuli all day, your dopamine receptors burn out, downregulation. The brain, to protect itself from the noise, reduces sensitivity. Result, you need stronger and stronger stimuli to feel anything. Normal things seem unbearably boring. You have broken your pleasure thermostat. The dopamine fast, or rather stimulation diet, consists of drastically reducing artificial inputs for a while so that receptors recover, upregulation. After a day of deliberate boredom, an apple tastes like glory. A conversation seems fascinating. You have lowered the threshold. You recovered the ability to enjoy the now. The protocol, how to exit the hamster wheel. You cannot eliminate dopamine, you need it to get out of bed, but you can tame it. You can stop being its slave and become its master. Here are 3 protocols to kill the addiction to later. Protocol 1. The hunt-feast transition closing rituals. Your brain doesn't know when to stop working or searching. You have to teach it manually. Our ancestors had a clear cycle: hunt, dopamine; eat and celebrate, serotonin, oxytocin; sleep. We hunt, emails, work, until we fall asleep with the phone in hand. We never change gears. The technique: create a daily closing ritual. At 19 Mooks, officially declare the end of the search, close the laptop, put the phone in another room, change to warm lighting, do a physical action that symbolizes feast, rest, tea, hot shower. Tell yourself, I have done enough. Now there is nothing to achieve, only to enjoy. Protocol 2. The handbrake of sensory gratitude. Intellectual gratitude is fine, but sensory gratitude is more powerful for breaking dopamine. It's about using physical pleasure to anchor you. When you eat, don't look at the phone. Eat. Feel the texture. Feel the temperature. If drinking coffee, spend 30 seconds just smelling it. Sensory pleasure activates endorphins and serotonin. These molecules tell dopamine, shut up. We already have what we were looking for. We are here. The deeper you go into the physical sensation, the less need you will have to think about the future. Protocol 3. Microdoses of boredom. We have demonized boredom. We treat it as a disease. As soon as we have 30 free seconds, elevator, traffic light, line, we pull out the phone. This prevents the brain from resting and processing. It keeps dopamine dripping. The challenge: recover the dead spaces. Next time you wait for the elevator, don't pull out the phone. Look at the door, breathe, feel your weight, get bored. Boredom is the prelude to creativity and peace. If you can spend 2 minutes doing nothing without collapsing from anxiety, you have regained control over your time. You have killed the urgency of later. Chapter 5. The murder of the self. Transient hypofrontality, the default mode network, and the flow state. The ego is a bad servant and a worse master. Zen proverb. When the archer shoots for nothing, he has all his skill. When he shoots for a brass buckle, he is already nervous. When he shoots for a gold prize, he goes blind, sees 2 targets, and loses his mind. His skill has not changed, but the prize divides him. Chuang-Tzu. There's a voice in your head that never shuts up. From the moment you wake up until you fall asleep, there is a narrator commenting on every aspect of your existence. It's cold. I should have worn another coat. Look at that guy. What a bad driver. I'm hungry. Why did my boss say that to me yesterday? I'm an idiot. I hope it doesn't rain. That voice is you. Or at least that's what you believe. That voice is the self. It is the mental construct that binds your past to your future. It is the librarian of your traumas and the architect of your anxieties. And I have news for you. That voice is the origin of time. Without the narrator, there is no psychological time. If you take the self out of the equation, the past disappears because there is no one to whom anything has happened, and the future vanishes because there is no one who has to get anywhere. Only the pure act of existing remains. For the Western skeptic, the idea of killing the ego sounds like a suicide cult or an LSD trip. It sounds like losing your sanity. But neuroscience has discovered that moments of peak human performance, maximum happiness, and peak creativity occur precisely when that voice falls silent. Scientists call it transient hypofrontality. Artists call it the zone. Psychologists call it flow. Mystics call it satori or nirvana. It is the state where time stops. The self dissolves and action becomes perfect. In this chapter, we will learn the reverse engineering of this state so you can induce it at will. We are going to commit a neurological deicide. We are going to kill your tiny tyrant god so that you can be free. The anatomy of the parasite, the default mode network, DMN. To murder the self, we first need to know where it lives. It is not an abstract concept, it has a physical address in your brain. The self lives in the default mode network, DMN. This network is a set of brain regions that activate when you are not doing anything specific, like when your mind wanders while sitting on the sofa. What does the DMN do? It travels through time. It remembers the past and simulates the future. It thinks about me. It evaluates your social status and worries about your self-image. It creates the narrative. It sews the scattered events of your life into a story. The DMN is the ego. It is the autobiographical self, and it consumes a brutal amount of energy. Maintaining the illusion of who you are requires constant metabolic effort. It is the DMN that tells you that you are bored, sad, or lacking something. It creates the separation between you and the world. While the DMN is in charge, you are trapped in psychological time. The neurological silence, transient hypofrontality. When a human enters a state of deep concentration, something amazing happens. Instead of more areas of the brain lighting up, the brain shuts down. It is called transient hypofrontality. Transient, temporary. Hypo, less activity. Frontality, prefrontal cortex, the CEO of the brain. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for logic, long-term planning, morality, the sense of time and the sense of self. It is the neurotic boss always judging. Am I doing this right? What will they think of me? When you enter flow, the brain decides the CEO is too slow and costly for the task at hand. To survive a giant wave, improvise a jazz solo at 200 BPM or write complex code, you cannot afford the luxury of doubting. Conscious processing is too slow, so the brain unplugs the CEO. Blood retreats from the prefrontal cortex. The DMN turns off. When the boss leaves the office, the magic happens. Time disappears. Without the frontal lobe calculating duration, 5 hours can seem like 5 minutes. You enter the eternal now. The self disappears. The self-critical voice falls silent. You are the action. Fear disappears. Fear is a future projection. Without a future, prefrontal off, fear is biologically impossible. 3. The zone. Why athletes are the new monks. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi discovered that the happiest people were not those relaxing on a beach, which activates the DMN and rumination, but those involved in a difficult challenge that demanded all their attention. Extreme athletes are the monks of the 21st century. They do not seek adrenaline, they seek silence. When you are hanging by a finger 300 meters high, you cannot think about your mortgage or if you are handsome or ugly. The mortal risk forces you into instant hypofrontality. The self dies, because if the self appears to doubt, the body dies. That absolute silence is what Buddhists seek through decades of meditation. A climber achieves it in 30 seconds. It is addictive not because of the risk, but because of the peace of having no one in your head screaming at you, the peace of having no past or future. But you don't need to risk your life. A surgeon feels it while operating. A programmer feels it when they see the code. 5. To the paradox of control, letting go to win. The self is a control freak. It wants to supervise every movement. This is called explicit processing. It is slow, clumsy, and energy-consuming. It is like trying to drive a car while thinking about every movement of the engine's pistons. You will crash. The flow state operates through implicit processing. The subconscious takes command. The subconscious is a supercomputer capable of processing 11 million bits per second. It is fast, fluid, and precise. The paradox is that to reach supreme mastery, you have to renounce conscious control. You have to trust that your body knows what to do better than you, your ego. It is the Taoist concept of wu-wei, effortless action. It does not mean doing nothing. It means that you don't do it. It happens through you. When an athlete chokes under pressure, it is because they exited flow and returned to the self. The prefrontal cortex turns on, time returns, and the ego kills the action. How to induce the murder. Flow entry protocols. Flow is not luck. It is an equation. You can design your life and work to maximize time in the zone. Here are the flow triggers. The gold ratio. Challenge versus skill. To enter flow, the task must be 4% harder than your current skill. Too easy? You get bored? DMN returns. Too difficult? Anxiety kicks in. Flow is that sweet spot where you must push yourself, but you feel you can do it. Clear goals, immediate feedback. The brain needs to know exactly what to do right now and if it's doing it well. Video games are flow machines because of this. Don't say, "I'll work on the project." Say, "I'll write 500 words in 30 minutes. Use a timer. Each small victory releases dopamine to keep you focused. Risk and consequence. The brain doesn't turn off the self if it doesn't feel something is at stake. Use Parkinson's law. Shorten deadlines artificially. Tell yourself, "I have 2 hours to finish this," or "I donate $50 to a political party I hate." Urgency kills neurosis. Rich environment, novelty. Monotony kills flow. Change your environment. Go to a new cafe. Novelty triggers dopamine and norepinephrine, which focus attention. The self feeds on the routine and the known. In the unknown, curiosity takes command. The fear of dissolution, the little death. If the flow state is so wonderful, why do we resist entering it? Why do we procrastinate? Because flow is death to the ego. In flow, the ego loses control and ceases to be the center of attention. The ego prefers to be miserable, but exist rather than be happy, but disappear into the action. The French call an orgasm la petite mort, the little death. It is a moment of intense hypofrontality where the self dissolves. Procrastination is often an ego defense to avoid its own dissolution. To kill psychological time, you must have the courage to kill your own self-importance. 7. The flow cycle. Struggle, release, flow, recovery. You cannot live in flow 24 hours a day. Your brain would burn out. The cycle has 4 phases. Struggle, the beginning. It's hard and unpleasant. You are loading info. Most people quit here. It's normal that it hurts. Release, you stop pushing. You relax a bit. Brainwaves drop to alpha. Flow, the takeoff. Hypofrontality. Time disappears. Recovery. You exit flow. You feel drained but satisfied. You need to recharge neurotransmitters. The rookie mistake is wanting flow, phase 3, without paying the toll of the struggle, phase 1. There are no shortcuts. You must cross the initial resistance. You must push against the door until it gives way. Chapter 6. Waiting is an insult. Life in the waiting room and the art of washing dishes. While we wait to live, life passes. Seneca, on the brevity of life. If you are not able to wash the dishes for the simple sake of washing the dishes, You will not be able to drink your tea for the sake of drinking the tea. You will only be thinking about the next thing and you will miss your whole life. Thich Nhat Hanh. You are in line at the supermarket. It is Tuesday, 1930. You are tired. You just want to get home, take off your shoes, and have dinner. In front of you is an elderly lady counting penny coins with geological slowness. The cashier seems to have taken a Valium. The guy behind you is shouting into his cell phone. Observe your mind. Come on. I don't have time for this. These people are incompetent. They should open another register. Your body is in the supermarket, coordinate A. Your mind is on the sofa at home, coordinate B. And in the space between A and B, there is a hell of static tension, irritation, and cortisol. You are waiting. For most, waiting is an inevitable nuisance, a tax we pay for living in society. But I want to propose a radical idea. Waiting is an insult. It is an insult to life. It is an insult to reality. It is an insult to yourself. When you are in a state of psychological waiting, you are telling the universe, this moment is worth nothing. This moment is trash. I want to throw it in the bin and get to the next one. You are despising the gift of existence right now in exchange for a future fantasy. If you add up all the hours you spend in traffic, in lines, waiting for a website to load, or waiting for the weekend, you will realize you spend 30% or 40% of your life. You spend it in the waiting room. These are years of life flushed down the toilet of impatience. These are years lived in apnea, holding your breath until the good stuff arrives. In this chapter, we are going to blow up the waiting room. We will discover that dead time does not exist, only living times that you decide to kill. The anatomy of impatience. What exactly is impatience at a cognitive level? It is a dispute with the speed of reality. Reality has its own rhythm. Traffic moves at the speed it moves. The lady counts coins at the speed her arthritic fingers allow. The file downloads at the megabits dictated by the network. That is the physical truth. You, however, have an ideal mental speed. You believe things should go faster. Impatience is the friction between real speed and your desired speed. The problem is that your desire does not accelerate reality. Mentally screaming at the red light does not make it turn green a millisecond sooner. All it does is flood your bloodstream with stress hormones, fight or flight, in a situation where you can neither fight nor flee. It is like flooring the accelerator and the brake at the same time. You burn out the engine, your nervous system, without moving an inch. Neuroscience tells us impatience is a prediction error. Life as a means to an end. The deep origin of chronic waiting is our instrumental view of life. We have been raised to believe that everything we do is a means to an end. We go to school, means for a degree, end. We work, means to earn money, end. We drive, means to reach a destination, end. When you treat the present only as a bridge, it becomes annoying. The logical problem with this philosophy is that when you reach the end, you eat, you arrive, you graduate, that end lasts very little. It immediately becomes the means to another end. You finish eating, and you are already thinking about cleaning, means to rest, end. You live chasing the horizon. If you treat the present as an obstacle, your life becomes an obstacle course. You never enjoy driving, you only suffer traffic. You never enjoy cooking, you only suffer chopping onions. You have converted your existence into a series of bureaucratic procedures to be dispatched as soon as possible. And what is the final step? Death. Through the Zen of the dirty plate, Thich Nhat Hanh. The Vietnamese monk Thich Nhat Hanh explained this with the metaphor of washing dishes. There are two ways to wash dishes. 1. Washing to have clean plates. You are thinking of the tea later. Washing is a nuisance. You hurry. 2. Washing to wash. You feel the warm water, you smell the soap, you are totally present in the act. If you wash to have clean plates, you are dead during the process. You are in the waiting room. If you wash to wash, you are alive. The act of scrubbing becomes an end in itself. It is a sensory, meditative, and complete experience. The skeptic will say, what nonsense, washing dishes is boring. I reply, boring compared to what? Compared to your fantasy of being in the Bahamas, yes, it is boring, but you are not in the Bahamas. You are in the kitchen. You have two options. A. Scrubbing while suffering and being bored, waiting room. B. Scrubbing while paying attention and finding peace in repetition, life. The dirty plate is your life right now. If dead time versus live time, Robert Greene. Author Robert Greene poses a brutal dichotomy. In life, there is dead time and alive time. Dead time, when you sit and wait for things to change, it is passivity. Looking at your phone, scrolling while waiting for the doctor, complaining about traffic, letting time pass over you, it is entropy. Alive time, when you take control of every second, regardless of circumstances, using traffic to listen to an audiobook and learn, using the supermarket line to practice observation or conscious breathing. Waiting is dead time. It is partial temporal suicide. The pragmatic mystic refuses to have dead times. If the universe puts you in a pause, you don't get angry. You reinterpret it. The universe just gave me 20 minutes of free time I didn't expect. How can I turn them into a live time? Suddenly, the traffic jam is not an obstacle. It is a classroom, a mental gym, a sanctuary. You are no longer waiting. V. The arrival myth, the almost there fallacy. Behind impatience hides the arrival fallacy, the subconscious belief that when you reach your destination, everything will be fine. When I get home, I will rest. When I get the job, I will be happy. It is a lie. When you get home, there will be noise or dinner to make. There is no magical place at the end of the wait where problems disappear and satisfaction is permanent. Satisfaction can only be found during the journey. If you do not enjoy the car ride, you will not enjoy the destination, because you carry the same dissatisfied mind with you. Waiting is the illusion that there is better than here. Break that illusion. There does not exist. There are only successive heres. If you learn to be well here, in line in traffic, you will always be well. If you need to be there to be well, you will never be well. Via the practice how to kill the wait. How do we apply this on a rainy Tuesday when the bus doesn't arrive? Here are combat protocols for impatience. Protocol 1. The just this label. Reduction to the absurd. Describe the situation physically without emotional adjectives. Don't say, I'm trapped in this hell. Say, I am sitting on a padded seat, my hands touch plastic. Is it unbearable to sit in a car at 22 degrees listening to music? No. Physically, it is very comfortable. What is unbearable is your mental narrative, I should be elsewhere. By reducing the experience to raw sensory data, the urgency disappears. You realize that in this precise second you are fine. Protocol 2. The anthropologist's game. Curiosity versus judgment. Impatience is a judgment. The antidote is curiosity. You cannot be furious and curious at the same time. In the bank line, activate anthropologist mode. Observe people as if you were an alien scientist studying the human species. Look at the shoes of the lady in front. What do they say about her life? Look at the cashier's posture. Listen to fragments of conversation. Observe the architecture. Suddenly, the line becomes interesting. It is a stage full of data. Time stops being something you endure and becomes something you investigate. Protocol 3. The micro-death of the ego, tactical surrender. Sometimes impatience is pure ego. I am too important to wait. My time is worth more than these people's. The universe is putting you in your place. It says, no, you are just one more, and you will wait like everyone else. Use the wait as a practice of humility. Tell yourself, the universe is in no hurry, neither am I surrender. Release the mental steering wheel. Stop pushing the river. Accept that you do not control the traffic lights. That surrender is deeply relaxing. It is a relief to stop trying to control the uncontrollable. 7. Vertical time in the waiting room. We return to the concept of vertical time, depth. Waiting is agonizing only in horizontal time, chronos. Minutes pass and I don't advance, but in the wait, you can enter vertical time. You can go deep. You can use that moment to connect with yourself. How am I today? What do I feel? You can use that moment to send a loving message. You can use it to have a brilliant idea. Many of history's best ideas did not happen in an office, but on a bus, in a bathtub, or walking. They happened in dead times when the logical brain rested. Forced waiting is a gift of leisure that life gives you. Chapter 7. Vertical time versus horizontal time. The geometry of existence and why your life feels short even if it's long. We do not have a short time, but we waste much of it. Seneca, on the brevity of life. There are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. Vladimir Lenin, unintentionally citing a principle of temporal perception. Imagine your life as a line drawn on a piece of paper. You are born at point A, left. You die at point B, right. The length of the line is your years. 80, 90, perhaps 100 if medicine advances and you have genetic luck. Society obsesses you with lengthening that line. They tell you to eat kale, exercise, save for retirement, and not smoke. Everything is designed to extend the horizontal axis, x-axis. We want more time. We want to go further on the graph. But there is a tragic problem with this flat geometry. You can have a very long line, 95 years, that is extremely thin, almost invisible. A line made of routine, boredom, distraction, and killing time. A life long in duration, but empty in content. And you can have a short line, 30 years, that is thick, vibrant, and deep. The secret that productive society ignores is that time has a second dimension. The vertical axis, y-axis. The vertical axis is depth. It is the intensity with which you live each point of the horizontal line. It is the difference between being alive, biology, and feeling alive, consciousness. Most people drag themselves along the surface. The pragmatic mystic stops worrying about the length of the line and starts obsessing over its thickness. They stop seeking horizontal time, chronos, and start excavating in vertical time, kairos. In this chapter, we will explore this hidden geometry. We will discover why routine is the killer of subjective time and how to hack your brain. I Chronos versus Kairos, the two gods of the clock. The ancient Greeks, who were much smarter than us at managing existential anxiety, had two different words for time. We only have one, and that is why we are confused. 1. Chronos, horizontal time. The time of the clock. Quantitative, linear, implacable. It is the God who devoured his children. It is the time that gets spent. Kairos, vertical time. The time of opportunity, qualitative, spherical. It is the right moment. It is the time of God, love, war, and art. In Kairos, a minute can be eternal or it cannot exist. It is the time that is inhabited. We live in a dictatorship of Chronos. I don't have time. The time is money. We measure life in billable hours, but your best memories, the moments that really define who you are, all occurred in Kairos. The first kiss, the car accident, the moment you saw your child born. In those moments, you looked at the clock and it didn't matter. Time stopped or accelerated. You stepped off the horizontal line and fell into a well of vertical intensity. The goal of this book is not for you to manage your Chronos better, buy a planner for that, but to maximize your Kairos. Because at the end of your life, your brain will not remember the 20,000 identical days you spent in the office. Those days will count as just one. Your brain will only count the vertical moments. The holiday paradox, why time flies as you get old. Let's talk neuroscience. Why did the summers of your childhood seem to last an eternity? And why now, in your 30s or 40s, does Christmas arrive faster and faster? It's not that the Earth rotates faster. It's that your brain has stopped recording. The human brain encodes time based on novelty and information density. Childhood. Everything is new. The sea is new. The taste of ice cream is intense. Your brain is processing gigabytes of new data per second. Since there is so much recorded footage, when you look back, the tape seems very long. Subjective time dilates. Adulthood. You enter routine. You wake up at the same time, take the same path to work. To your brain, this is redundant information. The brain is an efficiency machine. If today is the same as yesterday, it does not spend energy recording a new memory. It simply puts a label, C file, yesterday. It compresses the data. If you spend 10 years doing exactly the same thing, your brain compresses those 10 years into one memory. With no markers on the tape, when you rewind, the tape is very short. Where did the last 10 years go? You say, they didn't go anywhere. You erase them by living on autopilot. Routine is the anesthesia of time. To lengthen your life, you don't need to live more years. You need to break data compression. You need to inject novelty. Third, mindfulness as a temporal dilator. If novelty is one way to enter vertical time, attention is the other. And this is more accessible because it doesn't require a trip to Thailand. It requires traveling inward. Imagine you are eating an apple. Horizontal mode. You bite the apple while looking at your phone. Your brain barely registers the flavor. Subjective duration, 0 seconds. Vertical mode. You put down the phone, you bite the apple, you close your eyes, you feel the explosion of acid and sugar, you listen to the crunch, you submerge yourself in the apple experience. That minute of eating the apple, lived with 100% attention, is recorded in your brain with 4K resolution. You have dilated time. You have created a kairos moment on an ordinary Tuesday. The skeptic says, nonsense, it's just an apple. The pragmatic mystic says, it is the only apple that exists in the universe at this moment. If I miss it, I miss my life. The depth of your attention determines the quality of your time. Multitasking is the mortal enemy of vertical time. When you divide your attention, you make the experience superficial. You turn 2 deep experiences into 2 flat, mediocre ones. You are not saving time by doing 2 things at once. You are killing time by not truly living either of them. Third, the abyss of boredom, the back door. There is an unpleasant way to enter vertical time: pain and extreme boredom. Have you noticed that when you have pain, physical or emotional, time stops? A minute in the dentist's chair is eternal. A minute of abdominal planking is infinite. Why? Because pain forces you to be here. It hijacks your attention and nails it to the present. You cannot evade to the future when your tooth aches. It is a forced entry into verticality. Boredom does something similar. When the Wi-Fi goes out and you have no phone, the first 10 minutes are agony. But then, time stretches. You start to notice the dust in the air. You start to notice your breath. Modern society has declared war on boredom. We have weapons of mass distraction designed to pull us out of boredom and return us to horizontal unconsciousness. Every time you take out your phone in an elevator, you are rejecting an opportunity to enter vertical time. You are choosing the anesthesia. For the economy of memory, designing moments. If you want your life to feel long and rich at the end, you have to become an architect of moments. Psychologists Chip and Dan Heath talk about the importance of peaks. We remember experiences by their peak moments and their endings, not by the average. A flat, safe, and comfortable life is a forgetful life. A life with ups and downs, with risks and spectacular failures, is a memorable life. The skeptic seeks security and comfort, horizontality. The pragmatic mystic seeks intensity and learning, verticality. Sometimes choosing the bad option, the uncomfortable, difficult, scary one, is the right choice because it generates a memory peak. Going to that party where you know no one, public speaking, traveling alone, getting lost. Those experiences stretch your subjective time. A weekend of adventure in the mountains seems to last longer than an entire month at the office. Why? Because in the mountains you entered vertical time. You felt cold, fear, and wonder. You felt. Fast the practice piercing the surface. How do we start living vertically without quitting our jobs? Here are 3 drills to pierce the surface of your routine. 1. Aggressive sensory immersion. Choose a mundane activity like showering. Forbid yourself from thinking. Your mission is to saturate your senses. Feel every drop, smell the shampoo as if for the first time. If a thought comes, I have to buy milk, let it go and return to the thermal sensation. Do this 5 minutes a day. At first, it is exhausting because your brain wants to return to horizontality. But if you succeed, you will leave the shower feeling as if you've been in a spa for an hour. You will have touched the bottom of the well. Novelty injection, pattern breaking. Your brain erases routine. So break the routine. You don't need big changes. You need micro-sabotages of your own autopilot. Brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand. Go home by a different street. These small changes prevent the brain from activating data compression mode. Screen fasting, reclaiming depth. Screens are horizontal machines. They make you jump from one content to another in seconds. Extreme superficiality. Design blocks of deep time, deep work, deep leisure, 2 hours without a phone. Read a paper book. Depth requires continuity. Turn off the noise. Dive in. 7. The death of the clock, living without chronos. Do a weekend experiment. Take off your watch, cover the clocks on the oven and microwave. Put away your phone. Spend an entire Saturday without knowing what time it is. Eat when you are hungry. Sleep when you are tired. Wake up when the sun rises. At first, you will feel anxiety. Your chronos-addicted brain will seek external reference. But if you hold on, you will enter biological time. You will discover that the day is immensely long. Without the tyranny of the clock slicing your experience into 60-minute blocks, experience flows like a continuous river. You will realize that the lack of time is largely an anxiety generated by looking at the clock, not by reality. Fate, eternity in a grain of sand. William Blake wrote, "To see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wildflower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour." This is not poetry, it is neurology. Eternity is not an infinite amount of time. Eternity is the absence of time. It is total immersion in the now. When you are deeply in love or deeply awed by art or deeply concentrated, time disappears. You are in eternity. Then you come out, look at the clock and say, 2 hours have passed. But you were not there. You were in vertical time. The goal of the pragmatic mystic is to live with a foot in each world. Use Chronos to get to the meeting at 9. Use Kairos to be totally present in the meeting. Use Chronos to plan the vacation. Use Kairos to enjoy the sunset. If you only have Chronos, you are an efficient, dead robot. If you only have Kairos, you are a useless hippie who never pays the bills. Mastery is integration. Chapter 8. Memento Mori. The final stopwatch, the only delivery date you cannot negotiate. Our lives are brief and ephemeral. Death smiles at us all. The only thing a man can do is smile back. Marcus Aurelius, emperor, philosopher, and the most powerful man of his time. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Steve Jobs. Imagine you walk into a football stadium. The match has already started. The players are running, the crowd is shouting, there is excitement. But there is a strange rule in this game. There is no clock. No one knows how much time is left. There could be 90 minutes remaining or 30 seconds. The referee can blow the whistle at any moment. How would you play? Most people, seeing no clock, assume the match is infinite. They play at a walking pace, they fight over trivialities in the midfield, they save their strength for later, they postpone the goal for the second half. But suddenly, tweet, it's over. The referee blows the whistle. Lights out. Game over. And you stand there with the ball at your feet thinking, but I was just warming up. I thought I had more time. Welcome to human life. We live in a collective delusion. We act as if we were immortal. We fight with strangers on the internet. We work jobs we hate to buy things we don't need. We postpone saying I love you. Our life strategy is based on a false premise. I have time. I have some news for you and I want you to read it slowly. You are dying. It's not a metaphor. It is an active biological process. Since you were born, your telomeres have been shortening. Your cells are oxidizing. Your heart has a finite number of beats, about 2.5 billion. You are in free fall from an airplane without a parachute. The impact is certain. The only thing you can decide is how you perform your stunts during the fall. In this chapter, we will talk about Memento Mori. Remember you will die. Not to get depressed, not to be gothic or macabre, but to wake up. Because death is not the opposite of life. It is what gives it shape. Without death, life would have no urgency, no value, and no beauty. It would be an unformed and infinite mass of boredom. Death is the edge of the frame that allows the painting to exist. Either myth, cultural denial, the taboo. We live in a thanatophobic society, afraid of death. We hide the dead. We apply makeup to corpses to make them look asleep. We use euphemisms, they left us, passed to a better life. We have sterilized death. We have taken it out of homes and put it into cold hospitals. The cultural goal is to pretend it doesn't exist. The myth tells us, don't think about death, it's morbid. Concentrate on life. The rational skeptic falls into this trap. They think worrying about death is useless because it cannot be avoided. But ignoring death has a brutal psychological cost. By denying the end, we strip value from the middle. If you believe your vacation is infinite, you spend the day in the hotel watching TV. If you know it's your last day in Paris, you go out and devour the city with your eyes. The coffee tastes better. The air smells better. Scarcity creates value. Basic economics applies to existence. The infinite abundance of time devalues life. 2. The data terror management theory, TMT. Academic psychology has a fascinating field called terror management theory, TMT. It postulates that the fundamental psychological conflict of the human being is the clash between our survival instinct and the awareness that death is inevitable. This subconscious terror is so great that we build cultural buffers. Religions, legacies, nationalisms, the pursuit of fame. Everything we do, writing books, having children, making money, is a desperate attempt to deny death, to achieve symbolic immortality. TMT has shown in hundreds of experiments that when people are subtly reminded they will die, mortality salience, they become more defensive. They cling more to material possessions. They seek more status. In other words, unconscious death makes us neurotic, materialistic, and fanatical. But, and here is the twist of the pragmatic mystic, conscious death has the opposite effect. When people have a near-death experience, NDE, or survive terminal cancer, they often experience what is called post-traumatic growth. Their values change radically. They stop worrying about money or status. They prioritize relationships and love. They feel immense gratitude for simple things. They lose the fear of taking risks. We don't need to wait for a car accident to have this awakening. We can simulate the accident. We can use Memento Mori to obtain the benefits of post-traumatic growth without having to go through the trauma. 3. The bridge, the samurai and the Stoics. Two of the most effective and mentally strong cultures in history, the Roman Stoics and the Japanese samurai, had a common obsession: dying before you die. The Bushido, the way of the warrior text Hagakure says, "The way of the samurai is found in death. If one meditates every morning and evening on death, and they will achieve freedom." The samurai visualized himself dead every morning. Why? Because a warrior who is already dead has no fear. He has nothing to lose, and someone with nothing to lose is the most dangerous opponent in the world. He fights with total freedom, without doubts, without hesitation. Roman Stoicism. Seneca said, "You prepare your life, but life goes away." Marcus Aurelius whispered to himself, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." They were not depressive. They were the most active and productive people of their time. They used death as a scalpel to cut the fat of life. Death is the great clarifier. In the face of death, doubts dissolve. Should I call that girl? Facing death. Yes, what do you lose? Should I leave this job I hate? Facing death. Yes, you have no time to suffer. Do I care what my neighbor thinks? Facing death. No, no one cares. We will all be dust. Cares. We will. For the cosmic perspective, stardust. For the scientific skeptic, death is the end of consciousness. System shutdown. Nothingness. That can be scary, but physics gives us another perspective. The first law of thermodynamics. Energy is neither created nor destroyed, only transformed. Your atoms do not die. The carbon atoms in your right hand were forged in a different star than those in your left hand. You have been dead, non-existent, for 13.8 billion years before you were born, and it didn't bother you at all. You will return to that state. Life is a brief parenthesis of light between two eternities of darkness, a flash in the night. You have an incredibly improbable opportunity, 1 in 400 trillion, statisticians say, to be conscious right now, to be able to taste coffee, to feel the cold, to read this. Wasting this statistical miracle worrying about cellulite or Instagram likes is an insult to the laws of probability that conspired to create you. Memento Mori reminds you of your cosmic origin and your cosmic destiny. It makes you humble and great at the same time. 5. The Testament of Time, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, in his famous Stanford speech, said, Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything simply vanish in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Steve Jobs was not a mystic, he was a pragmatic businessman. He used death as an efficiency tool. Death removes the noise from the signal. If you have to decide between two options, ask yourself, which of the two will I regret not having done on my deathbed? The answer is usually immediate. Jeff Bezos calls it the regret minimization framework. When he doubted whether to leave his secure job on Wall Street to found Amazon, he projected himself to age 80. Will I regret at 80 having tried this and failed? No. Will I regret at 80 never having tried? Yes, that will haunt me forever. Decision made. Death simplifies complexity. It is the existential Occam's razor. For the practice mortality protocols, it is not enough to read about death. You have to feel its breath on your neck. You have to visceralize it. Protocol 1. The Life Calendar. Visual Memento Mori. Tim Urban created a famous chart. Your life in weeks. It is a sheet of paper with a grid of empty squares. Each square is a week of life. If you live 90 years, you have about 4,680 squares. If you are 30, you have already crossed out 1,560. They fit on a single sheet of paper. Exercise. Draw or print your grid. Cross out the weeks you have already lived. Look at the remaining empty squares. Hang that sheet on your wall. It is brutal. It is terrifying. But I guarantee one thing. If you see that sheet every morning, you will stop wasting weeks on nonsense. You will see that space is finite. Protocol 2. The last time meditation. The Stoics practiced negative visualization, but we can apply it to the everyday. You never know when it is the last time you do something. There was a day you went out to play in the street with childhood friends, and it was the last time. But you didn't know it. There was a day your mother picked you up and set you down. Exercise. When doing something routine, coffee with your partner, walking the dog, tell yourself, this may be the last time I do this. It is not pessimism, it is statistical realism. One day it will be true. By introducing this thought, routine vanishes. Suddenly you are not enduring the call, you are treasuring it. You kiss your partner as if they were going to war. You look at your dog with infinite gratitude. The last time injects vertical time, Chapter 7, into any boring moment. It sacralizes it. Protocol 3. The reverse obituary, life design. No one wants their tombstone to read, "Here lies John. He answered all his emails on time and watched all the Netflix series." Yet we live as if that were the goal. Exercise. Write your own obituary today. Not the one you'd have if you died today, but the one you want to have. What do you want them to say about you? What do you want to have built? Who do you want to have helped? Be specific. That text is your magnetic north. Everything you do today that does not bring you closer to that obituary is a distraction. Use it to say no to social commitments that don't interest you. Second, the value of remaining time. Imagine a bank that every morning deposits 400 euros into your account. But there is a rule. The money you don't spend today disappears at night. It does not accumulate. It is erased. What would you do? You would withdraw every cent and spend or invest it, right? You wouldn't leave anything in the account. That bank is time. Every morning you are given 86,400 seconds. What you have not lived is lost. You cannot save time for tomorrow. The pragmatic mystic becomes stingy with their time and generous with their life. They do not allow anyone to steal seconds with unnecessary drama. They protect their time with a sword. Money comes and goes. You can go broke and become rich again. Time only goes. Chapter 9. Burning the ships. Breaking narrative identity and the freedom of being nobody. If you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless and stupid in matters concerning external things. Epictetus, Enchiridion. You must be willing to let go of the life you planned so as to have the life that is waiting for you. Joseph Campbell. In the year 1519, the conqueror Hernán Cortés arrived on the shores of Veracruz, Mexico. He brought with him about 500 men, tired, frightened, and outnumbered by an unknown and brutal local empire. The temptation to turn around and return to the safety of Cuba was immense. The fear of failure and death hung in the air. Cortés then made a decision that would go down in military and psychological history. He gave an unthinkable order: burn the ships. In reality, he scuttled them to sink them, but the metaphor of fire is more powerful. By destroying the boats, he eliminated the option of retreating. He eliminated Plan B. He eliminated the past. His men stood on the beach, watching as their only escape route sank into the ocean. In that moment, their psychology changed. They were no longer sailors with doubts. They were desperate warriors. They only had one possible direction: forward, toward victory or death. You are on that beach, but your ships are not made of wood. Your ships are your identity. They are the stories you have told yourself about who you are for the last 20, 30, or 50 years. I am an anxious person. I am bad with money. I am a victim of my parents. I am a respectable professional who cannot take risks. Those ships are your safety. They are your self. They allow you to go back home to your comfort zone when things get difficult in the territory of the unknown. But those ships are also your prison. As long as you have the option to take refuge in your old identity, you will never conquer the new world of the now. To kill psychological time definitively, you must be willing to commit a ritual suicide of your personality. You must burn the ships of your personal history to stand naked and dangerously free on the shore of the present. The lying author, the left hemisphere interpreter. Who are you? If I ask you this question, you will start reciting your resume or your medical history. You will tell me your name, your profession, your marital status, and your traumas. You will tell me a story, a narrative. Neuroscience has discovered something fascinating about this narrative. It is a post hoc invention. Dr. Michael Gazzaniga, father of cognitive neuroscience, discovered in his studies with split brain patients that the left hemisphere of the brain has a specific function: the interpreter. The interpreter's job is to take the chaos of sensory data and random emotions and sew them into a story that makes you feel you are in control. If your body does something by instinct, the interpreter invents a logical reason half a second later to justify it. I ate that cake not because I'm addicted to sugar, but because I had a hard day and I deserve it. Your identity is a novel of historical fiction written by an unreliable narrator. You tell yourself you are shy. You believe it because in 3rd grade you were embarrassed to speak in public. The interpreter took that data, labeled it a permanent personality trait, and has been reinforcing it for 30 years. Every time you feel a bit nervous, the interpreter says, "See, it's because you are shy," and you believe it, you act accordingly. Breaking narrative identity means waking up and realizing that you are not the character in the novel. You are the blank space where the novel is written. The character Shy John is a construct, and like any construct, it can be demolished. To the cage of coherence, the consistency bias. Why is it so hard to change? Why, even when we know our habits are killing us, do we keep repeating them? Because the human brain has a biological need for coherence. Psychologist Robert Cialdini explains that the principle of consistency is one of the most powerful forces of behavior. Your brain aligns your actions with your words. Once you have declared that you are a certain way, your brain will do the impossible to align your actions with that declaration. If you say, "I am always late," your brain will unconsciously sabotage your efforts to be on time just to maintain coherence with your identity. Being on time would make you feel fake. It would cause dissonance. We prefer to be right about who we are, even if we are miserable, than to be happy being someone new. This is the dictatorship of the past, disguised as personality. We say, "That's just the way I am." Translation: I am afraid to burn my ships and discover who I would be if I stopped acting according to this old script. The phrase "that's just the way I am" is the most dangerous phrase in the language. It is a death sentence for growth. It is the cement that seals your feet to the ground. The pragmatic mystic removes that phrase from their vocabulary. You are not that way. You were acting that way until a second ago. In the next second, you are a wild card. There is the script of the victim and the script of the hero. There are two main types of ships that people refuse to burn. Both are temporal traps. The script of the victim, past. Poor me, look what they did to me. This script is seductive. It gives an immediate reward, innocence. If you are the victim, you are not responsible. The fault lies with your parents, the economy, or your ex. The victim receives attention and compassion, but the price is impotence. The victim cannot act because their identity depends on something external having damaged them. To get out of here, you have to burn the ship of innocence. You have to say, "It might not be my fault, but it is my responsibility to fix it." That hurts, but it frees. The script of the hero, future. I am the savior. I am the successful one. I never fail. This script seems better, but it is just as toxic. It is heavy armor. The hero lives terrified of showing weakness. He lives in the future, planning his next conquest to maintain his status. The hero cannot relax. He cannot be vulnerable. His identity depends on winning. If he loses, he crumbles. To get out of here, you have to burn the ship of importance. You have to accept being nobody in order to be human. Both scripts are prisons made of time. The victim lives in what happened. The hero lives in what he will achieve. Neither one lives here. Fate being nobody, the strategy of Odysseus. In the Odyssey, when the Cyclops Polyphemus asks Odysseus what his name is, Odysseus responds with tactical genius, "My name is nobody." When Odysseus blinds the Cyclops and he screams for help from his brothers, he roars, "Nobody is attacking me. Nobody has hurt me." The other Cyclopes, confused, leave and Odysseus escapes. Being nobody is the ultimate strategy of freedom. If you are nobody, you cannot be offended. How do you insult nothing? If you are nobody, you have no reputation to defend. If you are nobody, you don't have to be coherent with your past. Becoming nobody means dissolving narrative identity. It means stop using labels. It means entering a room and not needing them to recognize your status, your pain, or your history. It means being a clean channel. When you are nobody, you are fluid like water. You can be fierce when the situation requires ferocity. You can be sweet when it requires sweetness. You respond to the reality of the moment. V. The fertile void. Consciousness versus content. If you burn your story, what is left? This is the question that terrifies the ego. If I am not my job, nor my name, nor my memories, am I nothing? Exactly. And that is wonderful. The metaphor of the movie screen. Your life, your dramas, loves, losses, is the movie. It is the content. You are the screen. You are consciousness. The movie can be a horror film, a war film, or a romantic comedy. The screen is never burned by the fire in the movie. It never gets wet from the water in the movie. The screen supports the story, but it is not the story. The screen is the now. It is the immutable space where things happen. Breaking narrative identity is to stop identifying with the movie and start identifying with the screen. When you make this shift, metanoia, suffering becomes manageable. Oh, look, there is a scene of sadness on the screen. Okay, I observe it, I feel it. But it is not me. You become untouchable and eternal. Phi, the practice, how to burn the ships today. You don't need to go to a deserted island. You can burn your psychological ships while you go to work. Protocol 1, the fast of personal history. For 7 days you are forbidden from talking about your past unless it is logistically necessary. Do not tell anecdotes of when I was young. Do not talk about your ex. Do not explain why you are the way you are. Every time you feel the urge to tell your story to validate yourself, shut up. Feel the burn of not being able to reinforce your identity. Watch how your ego writhes. If I don't tell this, they won't know who I am. Let the ego go hungry. At the end of the week, you will feel incredibly light. You will realize that 90% of your conversation was just character maintenance. You now have energy to create. Protocol 2, break character. Actors know that to get out of a role, they have to do something the character would never do. Make a list of things you never do. I never dance. I never talk to strangers. I never go to the movies alone. Choose one thing and do it today, not because you like it, but to break the pattern. If you never dance and today you dance, you have just proven to your brain that the label "I don't dance" was a lie. You have just created a crack in the prison of identity. The more cracks you create, the more light comes in. Be unpredictable. Be contradictory. Confuse people. Confuse yourself. That is freedom. Protocol 3. The name change internal. In many monastic traditions, when a novice enters, they change their name. It is a way of saying, your old life is dead. Do it internally. Choose a secret name or a word that represents who you want to be now. It could be strength, calm, fire, zero. When you look in the mirror, do not call your reflection by your official name, which carries all the past. Call it by your new name. Hello, Zero. What are we going to create today? This creates a healthy dissociation. It allows you to operate from a clean new platform without the viruses of the old operating system. There's the cost of freedom. I have to warn you, burning the ships has a social cost. The people in your environment will not like that you change. They have a script for you. They need you to remain the funny friend or the obedient daughter so that their own stories make sense. If you change the script, you force them to improvise. And people hate to improvise. They will tell you, you've changed. You're not the same anymore. You've become selfish. When they tell you this, do not defend yourself. Smile. It is the confirmation that your ships have sunk. Respond, yes, I have changed. And tomorrow, I will be different again. Don't let their need for comfort lock you back into your old cage. The loneliness that comes after burning the ships is temporary. Soon you will attract new people who resonate with your present freedom, not with your past trauma. Chapter 10. The Holy Instant. The Eternal Return and the End of the Search. What if some day or night a demon were to steal after you into your loneliest loneliness and say to you, this life as you now live it and have lived it, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more. Would you not throw yourself down and gnash your teeth and curse the demon? Or have you once experienced a tremendous moment when you would have answered him, you are a god and never have I heard anything more divine? Friedrich Nietzsche, The Gay Science. The holy instant is this moment and every moment. The only place where you can find God or peace or reality is here. Because there is no other place. A Course in Miracles, reinterpreted. Look at your hand, do it now. Stop reading for a second and look at your hand. Look at the lines in the skin. Look at the light hitting your nails. Feel the temperature of the air brushing against your fingers. That piece of matter you call a hand is made of carbon forged in the core of a dead star billions of years ago. That star had to explode so that you could have fingers. The earth had to cool. The dinosaurs had to go extinct. Your ancestors had to survive ice ages, plagues, and wars. They had to meet, fall in love, and reproduce in an unbroken chain of statistical miracles for millennia. The entire weight of the history of the universe, every atom, every event, every coincidence, has conspired to converge at a single point. You, here, now, reading this sentence. The Big Bang did not happen 13.8 billion years ago. The Big Bang is happening now. The explosion is still expanding, and you are the tip of the spear of that explosion. This exact moment, with your back pain, with your bank account exactly as it is, with the noise of the traffic outside, is the culmination of all reality. However, you treat it as if it were a mistake, as if it were a meanwhile, as if it were something to be overcome to get to Friday. Welcome to the holy instant. It is not holy because angels come down playing harps. It is holy because it is whole. It is holy because it is the only thing that is real. Everything else, your memories, your plans, your fears, are electrical ghosts in your brain. Only this exists. In this final chapter, we are going to stop fighting. We are going to drop our weapons. We are going to dare to look reality in the eye and say the most powerful word that exists, yes. The physics of the impossible, the singularity of now. To understand the holy instant, we first have to understand the physics of time. Imagine a vinyl record spinning. The whole song is on the disc, past and future, but the music only sounds where the needle touches the vinyl. That point of contact is the now. If you lift the needle, the music stops. Your consciousness is the needle. The past, the grooves already played, is memory. The future, the grooves yet to be played, is potential. But the vibration, the sound, the life, only occurs at the infinitesimal point of contact. The problem is that our mind is wide, but the now is narrow. The now has no duration. It is a mathematical limit between the past and the future. It is so thin that if you try to catch it, it is already gone. That is why it gives us vertigo. That is why we prefer to live in the house of psychological time than on the edge of the now, which is sharp and empty. Living in the holy instant requires the balance of a tightrope walker. It requires being so awake that you do not fall backward, memory, or forward, expectation. It is a singularity. At this 0 point, the laws of normal psychology collapse. There is no fear, there is no guilt, there is no lack, there is only presence. Tis the eternal return, the trial by fire. Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher who killed God to make us responsible, left us the most brutal thought experiment in history. The eternal return. Imagine that when you die, you do not go to heaven or hell or nothingness. Imagine that you are born again in the same body, in the same year, in the same place, and you live exactly the same life again. Every toothache, every tear, every orgasm, every stupid mistake, every second of boredom in the supermarket line, over and over again, for all eternity, without changing a single comma, like a movie on an infinite loop. Now ask yourself, is this a blessing or a curse? If you feel nauseated at the idea of repeating your current life infinitely, it means you are not living. It means you are enduring. It means you are living in the waiting room, chapter 6, waiting for something better to arrive. But in the eternal return, nothing better ever arrives. Only this arrives again. The pragmatic mystic uses the eternal return not as a cosmological theory, but as the supreme filter for decision-making. Before doing something, ask yourself, would I want to do this for all eternity? Would I want to stay in this job I hate for all eternity? No. Then leave it now. Would I want to eat this delicious ice cream for all eternity? Yes. Then eat it with full attention, savor it, make it eternal. The eternal return forces you to sacralize every moment. If you are going to have to live this grey Monday 1,000,000 times, you had better find the beauty in it. You had better love the rain. Because there is no escape. There is no later. Your life is a block of marble that is already carved. Your only freedom is to love the shape it has. Thrice the great affirmation, amor fati. Here we reach the core concept. Amor fati, love of fate. It is not resignation. That is tolerance, and it is weak. Amor fati is enthusiasm. It is saying, I want this, exactly this. With all the pain, with all the dirt, with all the imperfection. I want it all. Why would you want the pain? Because the universe is an interconnected system. Entanglement chapter 9. You cannot remove the bad parts without destroying the good ones. If you remove the moment your heart was broken, perhaps you remove the moment you learned to write poetry, or the moment you met your best friend in a bar while crying. If you remove the storm, you remove the rainbow. If you remove your fragility, you remove your courage. Saying yes to the holy instant means saying yes to the totality of existence. It means accepting that chaos and order dance together. When you stop judging the moment as good or bad, the civil war in your head ends. The resistance, chapter 3, evaporates. And suddenly you are indestructible. Because if you love everything that happens, how could life hurt you? Everything it throws at you is fuel for your fire. Clive, the end of the search, the dog chasing its tail. You probably started reading this book looking for something. You were looking for peace, success, enlightenment, or happiness. You were looking for a technique, a secret, a tool. You were looking to become a better version of yourself. I have to tell you the final truth. The search is the trap. The act of searching implies an underlying belief. I don't have it. I'm not enough. Something is missing. The search creates the lack. The more you search for happiness, the more you confirm your unhappiness. The more you search for the now, the further you move away from it. It is like looking for your glasses while you are wearing them. It is like a dog chasing its own tail. The faster it runs, the further away the tail gets. The only way to catch the tail is to stop. The holy instant is the moment you surrender. The moment you say, that's it, I'm not going to search anymore, I am here, it is enough. In that surrender, the cosmic paradox occurs. By stopping the search, you find. By stopping trying to be spiritual, You become spiritual because you are real. By stopping trying to be happy, you become peace, because there is no longer friction. You have already arrived. You were never far away. The final practice, the micro-eternity. How do you live this on a Tuesday? You cannot live in mystical ecstasy all the time. You have to pay bills. But you can insert micro-eternities into your day. Holy instant protocol. The signal. Choose a recurring signal. Crossing a door, a notification. The stop. When the signal occurs, stop physically for 3 seconds. The collapse. Let go of everything. Let go of your name. Let go of your past. Let go of your agenda. The immersion. Look at what is in front of you as if you were a newborn. Look at the light. Listen to the hum. The yes, tell yourself mentally, yes to this. Those 3 seconds are eternal. They are vertical. In those 3 seconds, you are not an employee or a parent or a victim. You are the consciousness of the universe experiencing itself. Then go on with your horizontal life. But you already carry the secret with you. You know that the depth is always available a blink away. Thyre's conclusion, the open door. We have dismantled the clock. We have killed the ghost of the past. We have turned off the simulator of the future. We have closed the pain gap. We have broken the dopamine addiction. We have murdered the narrative ego. And we have looked death in the face to learn how to live. Now you are naked. No excuses, no ships to return to. In front of you is an open door. On the other side of that door, there is no magical paradise. On the other side is your kitchen, your office, your family, your traffic, your problems. It is exactly the same as what was there before. But everything has changed. Because you have changed. Before you saw obstacles, now you see a path. Before you saw dead time, now you see life. Before you saw what is missing, now you see what is. You do not need faith. You do not need hope. You have certainty. The certainty that, whatever happens, you will only have to deal with the present moment. You have left the dictatorship. You have reclaimed your sovereignty. Psychological time is dead. Long live real time. Close this book. You do not need it. Everything you need is outside of these pages. It is in your lungs, going in and out. It is in your eyes. It is here, now. Conclusion. The end of the search. And the beginning of real life. You have reached the last page, and paradoxically you have arrived at the same place where you started. Here. The difference is that when you began reading, this here seemed insufficient to you. It seemed like a place of passage, a grey and uncomfortable waiting room that you had to cross to reach a bright future. Now you know the truth. Now you know that the waiting room has no exit door, because there is no outside to go to. The great cosmic joke of self-help and spirituality is that they sell you maps to find a treasure that you already carry in your pocket. You have spent your life searching for success, for love, for peace. But the search is a trap. The act of searching implies a declaration of lack. I don't have it. I am missing something. It is over there, far away. The more you seek happiness in the future, the more you confirm your unhappiness in the present. The more you run toward the horizon, the further the horizon recedes. It is a treadmill designed to exhaust you. This book has had only one purpose, to break the treadmill. I haven't given you tools to be a better version of yourself in the future. I have given you tools to kill the future and realize that your current version, with all its cracks and imperfections, is already complete. It is already valid. It is already sacred. The end of the search occurs at the exact instant you surrender. It is not a surrender of defeat. It is a surrender of victory. It is the moment when you drop your weapons, stop fighting with reality, stop trying to get somewhere and simply collapse into the now. In that fall, fear disappears. Because fear needs time to exist and you no longer have time, you only have this. You have already killed the past. No one judges you. You have already disconnected the future. No one is waiting for you. You have already burned your identity. No one defines you. You are naked before existence. And in that nakedness you are invincible. Because he who needs nothing has everything. He who expects nothing receives everything. He who goes nowhere has already arrived. So please, do not turn this book into another search. Do not turn living in the now into another pending task on your to-do list. Do not strive to be present. Simply realize that you cannot not be. You are already here. You have always been here. The only difference is that now you have stopped pretending you are somewhere else. Close this book. The book is only paper and ink. It is a map, not the territory. What you seek is not in these pages. It is in your hands holding the book. It is in the light coming through the window. It is in the sound of your breathing. Go out there. Touch the table. Look at the sky. Feel the cold. Real life has been waiting for you patiently while you were busy making plans. Welcome home. Welcome to the only moment that exists.